What up?
Hi.
Professor Weirdfuck, Geek Meister, back at ya. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
So we are here to talk Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones.
But before we get to Jessica Jones, he's still making his way through season 2.
Daredevil.
Of Daredevil. So we're not gonna talk about that, but we are gonna talk about just one part of it before we jump to Jessica Jones.
The second hallway fight scene.
Hallway Fight 2.0 with stairwell.
Yeah, with stairwell. Like how the
holy shit on the camera work.
Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, I can't tell if it was like on some sort of pulley system or because that camera was still, but it seemed like it was handheld.
It was unbelievable. I mean, I'm assuming that it probably was kind of
handheld or like a body cam or something.
Well, what I've seen before is I've seen like these like really complicated like vest rigs where basically like they almost have like this like they've got this like vest kind of like. You ever play, like, laser tag and shit?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so imagine, like, kind of like that shape, but, like, tighter, more contoured to your body and stuff. And then, like, there's, like, a pole that sticks out, and then, like, another pole that sticks out like this. And then, like, the camera mounts here. So it's kind of just really tight in on your body. But just, like, if your body is still, it'll, like, overall stay still. And I'm assuming that's how they're doing a lot of these shots. But this is still really, really impressive.
Yeah,
like, the things that are required of this cameraman to do... I mean, again, and in the first one, I've not like looked this up to like like I've never seen anybody really talk about it. But there are conduits and like electrical stuff going on each side of the hallway in the first hallway fight, which I assume is masking a track for the camera, which is how it helps like Cold Still as he's like going over the doorway and stuff. There's no way you can do something quite like that in this fight.
Right, no, not at all, because there's just so many, it just keeps going. One thing I really liked about this fight, like, what added a great aesthetic to it, was him fighting with that chain. Oh my god. That just was so fucking cool.
It was really fun. It was really good. And I do like the fact that the gun was just taped to his hand the entire... Like, he hadn't gotten the... doesn't have time to get the handgun removed, which is kind of weird because I feel like he could have done that, like, at some point, like, while carrying the body down, is, like, unwrapped, like, the gun and shit. But whatever, it's kind of fun that he sort of has to, like, punch everybody in the face with, like, this gun.
Right. Right. But... I mean, just his fighting style, like the whole aesthetic, I think the show captures the whole Daredevil thing very, very well.
Yeah, he just does things that are insane. Like, like, why would you do that? That's so gnarly.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, how Matt Murdock is portrayed, like, from, like, moments ago, having a philosophical debate with Punisher of, like, not killing people and stuff like that. But when he gets into a fight, he's like, oh, I'm going to knock the shit out of you. Like, he enjoys it.
Like, I mean, he talked about this in the first season. He enjoys what he does, and he questions all the time whether or not what he's doing is right because of the fact that he enjoys doing it.
Yeah.
And... I think that does really come out when you see his fighting, because I think he does, like, see it as a challenge. It's always, like, one of, it's, you know what it almost feels like? It almost feels like when Captain America was like, I can do this all day. Like, he's got this shit kicked out of him, and he just gets up and smiles and just like, bring it! Bring it! But yeah, no, so... The thing I would say, though, is that don't get me wrong, this hallway fight was really fun. It was a lot of fun. First hallway fight, a little bit more fun. And I think part of that is just because we weren't expecting it.
Right.
Once we knew this one was happening, we knew, like, okay, we're going to get one of these. Now, and to their credit, they upped the ante by adding the stairwell.
Yeah,
and it was a really nice jump, because it was like, all right, we watched this before, now watch us do this and add this motherfucking obstacle to it. Like, I'm wondering, though, whether or not they're going to just drop it at that point. Like, I don't know if I want to see that happen again in a third season.
Yeah.
Because if they try to just up it every single time, I feel like it's just going to start getting, like...
Old
and too ridiculous.
Right.
To try to make it not old. They're going to have to keep... I mean, they've already added, like, a stairwell. What else? Is it just going to be a whole fight of, like, rooftop to rooftop? like in like one motion, which don't get me wrong, would be pretty badass.
Do that.
Yeah, actually, I retract my sentence. We can do that for a third season. Maybe don't go beyond that because then it's going to get insane.
Yeah.
But rooftop to rooftop single shot, if you can pull that off somehow, yeah, okay, I'm down. That's fucking gnarly, actually.
Yep.
Alright, cool.
Anyway, so that was the hallway fight scene.
Yeah. But again, the main focus that we're trying to be here is Jessica Jones.
My girl.
Oh.
So, Jessica Jones, let's just break it down real quick for y'all, is a private eye former superhero Jewel who now has PTSD from being a sex slave, rape victim, to a villain known as the Purple Man, or called in this show, Kilgrave. Played by David Tennant, who does an excellent job. But yeah. So basically, this entire show is based off the comic Alias. And yeah, like I said, it's Jessica Jones. She's an alcoholic, severe PTSD from like being this slave. To this maniac.
I mean, not even from just that. Like her life was rough in a lot of ways up until that point. Like her whole family dies.
Yeah.
And she goes to live with this little girl, Trish, or at that time, Patsy.
Yeah.
And discovers like what an abusive bitch her mother is.
Oh yeah.
And basically, yeah, like she becomes like this tool for this woman until she discovers that she has superpowers and threatens her with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, but for a child to go through all of that is traumatic.
Oh yeah.
All on its own. So you you do all of that, and then a man who can make you do anything that he desires, like you cannot refuse what he tells you to do, tells her, we're going out and we're going to be lovers.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, like rough.
Yeah, very rough.
Well,
also, I mean, what I really appreciate about Jessica Jones is like as far as her superpowers go. So she has super strength. She can jump really high, which is kind of like flying. Like she's kind of like an almost hero, because like she has like super strength, yeah, but also like she can kind of fly. It's like.
I mean, it's more just that the super strength just gives her the ability to jump ridiculous. She's sort of got a lower grade version of Superman's original powers, which was literally just super strength. He literally could, super strength and, he had super speed, so at that point still too. But, he, the whole, like, he couldn't fly at first. He could leap buildings in a single bound, and that's kind of what she can do, but to a much lesser extent.
Right.
And, which is, I mean, I like characters who, like, have, like, these super abilities, but they're not, like, overpowered. They're still pretty easily stopped. Yeah. And so they still have things to, like, get around. Like, that's what I think that's what's really working, especially, too, for some of these network shows. Netflix shows. And the network shows, really, like, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter and stuff like that, is that there's, like, some superpowers, or maybe none, and these people are still getting around it.
Yeah.
Whereas the movies, I mean, everyone besides maybe, like, Black Widow is kind of, like, OP to the max in many ways. But anyway, and Jessica Jones is, no exception to what I was saying. Like, she's got some really cool powers, but she can't, like, control the course of every fight with those powers. Like, she's pretty formidable, but, even, like, enough, like, normal people could probably take her down.
Yeah.
In fact, we kind of watched that at the end.
That does kind of happen, yes. Well, okay, going down the line, Jessica Jones, I mean, great character. Let's go down the line of characters here. So, let's talk about Patsy or Trish or future Hellcat.
Potential future Hellcat. I hope that they do that kind of thing once some of the mystical stuff that's kind of working its way into season 2 of Daredevil. I won't spoil anything. But there's some mystical stuff kind of happening there that might leak over into Jessica Jones, and at that point I could see, her kind of doing some Hellcat stuff for sure.
Okay.
And like but what's best about her is her friendship with Jessica Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's one of the coolest friendships to watch, because I don't know what the deal is with this, but sometimes female friendships are portrayed in a really weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're either just, like, totally fake, or, like, they're kind of real, but it sort of seems, like, a little bit more like the way you'd write a guy friendship.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. Whereas this is really, really clearly feminine, but still a super strong friendship that, like, is, you know, like, really compelling and interesting to watch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Which is extremely enjoyable. I really thought that the dialogue that takes place between those two, and just the acting, the actresses have amazing chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So that was phenomenal. But I mean, the character by herself is really cool because she does not have Jessica Jones's powers at all, but she's got, like, the same balls.
Oh yeah!
Absolutely. Holy shit!
I mean, she trains herself to kick fucking ass. And she proves to hold her own a decent amount of times. Of course, there are certain things that no way she could hold her own against because she's not superhuman and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, regardless, she's a really good. I think she's a really good character. The actress is awesome. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Trish.
I mean, yeah, you know, maybe the only thing is that the writing around her was really nice because she was definitely still a side character, but her side plot still managed to really nicely work its way into which is true of all the side characters, I think.
Yeah.
All the side characters had really interesting side plots going on that actually wound up feeding into the main plot in a really cool way. Like, there was nothing wasted about this show. Mm-hmm. I think that's, like, the big thing to take away from. And the way that it all weaved together made it really feel that much more like a noir, which is what it was ultimately stylized.
Yeah, that's what I love the form of this show, is how it's very much a noir vibe. Like, the music, to the rainy, like, city shots and stuff like that. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
It's not your typical superhero show.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Another character involved in this show, Luke Cage, of course.
Luke Cage, man. Sweet Christmas. So good. So good. Also, the chemistry between him and Jessica Jones, fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, you just sit there, like, there's so many complications from them trying to get together, which I hope they ultimately do get those two crazy kids together, because
well, they gotta.
Their relationship is just phenomenal, like, which it's supposed to be. But, I again, like, it's not like it's a romantic show per se, like, at all. But you just sit there, like, whenever you see them together, it's like, hook up, hook up, hook up. Because, well, I mean, also, let's face it, they're both gorgeous in them, like, in the makeout scenes. You're just like,
that's hot.
I need to pause this for a minute. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick.
Go to the bathroom, just do it right there.
I mean, it depends on where you're watching. I mean, you're just going to, like, whip it out in the living room?
Maybe.
You're a bold man.
Maybe. Anyway, enough about our balls.
Yes, indeed. Let's talk about the balls on Luke Cage.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
Like, you know what I like about him? He sticks to his convictions to, like, a fault.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy watching that. Like, the thing that, like, you admire about him for so long winds up being this thing that kind of, like, screws him in a couple of ways.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome, dude. He's just he's really well written. The acting is phenomenal. His relationship with everybody, like, works really, really well. I mean, that's the other thing, too. I'll just stop talking about whether or not, like, the chemistry or anything works. The chemistry on this show in general is just fucking phenomenal from everybody. Everybody's relationship feels exactly the way you want it to feel. Yeah. So, like, I think that's just a blanket statement for all of this, is that the casting was perfect.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say perfect. I'm just going to go ahead and say perfect, because I can't even imagine it any other way.
Yeah, absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed everyone in that show. No complaints, honestly. No one really bugged me.
Even when they made bold choices, like to make Hogarth a woman.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That for me worked in a really, really strange way. Like I didn't like know exactly like how to take that at first until like you watched her have the affair with the secretary, and it was just like
That was
yes,
also hot. There's
yes.
a lot of hotness in this
There's
show.
a lot of hotness in this show, and it was so right on. Like it was exactly that storyline of like falling in love with the hot secretary and everything, and leaving your wife and all of that. Except it was just done with all women. And somehow, and again, all of like the right, because there's not that much difference between that kind of relationship and like between like two women, but there's a little bit, and they took the time to take all of those little subtle things and like work it into the dialogue, work it into like some of like the overarch plot and everything,
Right.
and it just again like it didn't feel forced or anything. It felt very natural and feminine, and yet was like a story that you normally would have seen between a man and a woman, and just done between three women,
Right.
and it was fucking phenomenal.
Yep.
So yeah.
back on Luke Cage. Now, Luke Cage is, if I'm not mistaken, he's unbreakable or
Yeah. His like skin basically cannot be broken.
Yeah.
I think we've like watched it get broke. Like the bullet broke it at point blank.
Now, does he also have super strength?
Yes, I don't think Jessica Jones level super strength, but like comparable to a certain extent, like in her ballpark, but she's a little bit ahead of him.
But that just sucks with Luke Cage because he can still get internal bleeding.
Yes,
and to stop internal bleeding, they'd have to open you up.
Yep.
And so the scene where they had to stop the internal bleeding, she had to go through his eye socket.
Yep. Fucking intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good scene. And just Jessica Jones sitting there, freaking out, because she just knows, like, nothing's going to work. Mm-hmm. Nothing is going to work. Like, we need, like, a buzzsaw, and even then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But that nurse, man.
Fucking night nurse, dude. Yeah, to the rescue on seriously. Everything. Oh, my God. I love that character. Because she's going to be just this awesome character, I think, who's just going to sort of weave her way through all of these, different shows that are coming out for Netflix and stuff. And I really would like to almost see her...
superhero doctor.
Yeah, I want actually to see her... Because I've been wanting a character like this for a while, who sort of just floats through everything, and I mean literally everything. I think it would be super cool if she not only works her way into things like, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, but even like a tiny cameo in a film.
Yeah,
like a really tiny one. Like somebody's just at the hospital and it's like, okay, sign for this, like 2 lines, and then like walks away. Like I think that would be really interesting to like watch just one character sort of bounce through everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think she's a good candidate for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Night nurse. I mean, like, come on, she's like the best nurse in New York.
Yep.
At least certainly in Hell's Kitchen.
Anyway, so Luke Cage covered. Oh no, depicted very well. Well, then we got Simpson.
Yeah, Simpson's interesting. Simpson sort of continually seems like a throwaway character that sort of seems like an ally for the situation at hand.
Yeah.
Until he's not.
Yeah. He starts slowly trying to take control.
It's not even really slow. It kind of happens abruptly.
It is pretty abruptly, yeah. He seems like this guy that's like a wounded puppy at first because, he went through some fucking shit. And you felt bad for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then he starts quickly turning into a controlling piece of shit roid rage asshole.
Yeah, like really, like if there's any fault I have on the writing in the show, it's literally that. How quickly he turns from, I'll help you guys out, to, I'm going to do this, and you're going to get out of my way.
Yeah.
Like...
Well, I mean, I guess, part of that had to do with, the drugs.
Yeah, part of it did.
Part of it didn't.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, some of that was happening before he joined back up so that he could get his hands on those drugs.
Right.
And it was kind of... the whole thing was very... I think it was literally just because it was like, we can't devote an entire episode to, like, the 10, 15 minutes more we need for him to kind of, like, start going down that path to, like, bridge that gap. Because literally, I think that's all it needed. I think it needed, like, a couple more, like, 7-minute scenes.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, like, start him down there, and then it would have been... But they can't devote an entire episode to that, so that became a bit of a jump, so whatever. It was, like, the one, like, writing flaw that I even really saw was just that jump happened a little bit quickly. But again, like, you know, maybe the withdrawal for those drugs started setting in suddenly for some reason or something like that. You know, you never know. Addiction's complicated, so it's kind of an easy way to justify certain choices for the purpose of your narrative.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, Simpson, who is going to eventually become Nuke.
Right. Kind of showed himself as such at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of became this weird secondary antagonist.
Yeah.
And not weird in a bad way, just sort of like, ooh, that's kind of an interesting curveball distraction that has to be dealt with before the main problem at hand can.
Yeah. Kind of like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It never ends. But okay, so speaking of villains, let's talk about Kilgrave.
Let's talk about Kilgrave.
Also known as the Purple Man.
Yep.
Played by David Tennant. And he does such a great job. He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
There are times you really, I felt like I really wanted a redemption for him. I really wanted to feel bad for him, but then you just realize, no, he's bullshitting. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. He is so selfish, sociopathic. He only cares about himself.
Which, to an extent, I mean, it's hard to say. You could argue it, I think, either way. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's some justification in the fact that he's had this power for so long, and to him, he was sort of tortured as a child. He wasn't really. His parents were trying to help him, but he didn't understand what was happening and was just simply in pain because of them all of the time. And then suddenly had these powers where he could just tell people what to do. Mm-hmm. So he kind of was a victim of his circumstances to a certain extent, which again, where you want to feel bad for him. But at the same time, it's kind of like, at what point do you draw the line? And I think he is clearly about 10 miles past wherever that line is. Yeah. He is, again, selfish, manipulative. I mean, not even really manipulative, just because that's his power.
Literally
He's just literally manipulative. But I mean, like, he's the kind of guy who offers you a totally insane deal and then gets mad when you don't appreciate him for it.
Yeah.
That's what Kilgrave, like, he's that dude. He's that guy who's just like, oh, well, I'll give you a choice. I will kill your mother or your brother. See? I mean, it's all up to you. Isn't that so nice of me?
Yeah.
And then, like, you're like, no. And, like, well, I think that's very rude of you to not appreciate what I'm doing here. Like, that is kind of, like, the vibe Kilgrave, like, gives off throughout of it. He's just, and you watch him get so petty and childish over just, like, like, you're going to peel your faces off if she doesn't come back because I'm bored and angry.
Yeah.
Like, bleh. Bleh. He's an amazing piece of shit, though. Like, David Tennant, holy fuck. Like, that dude is... Because the thing is, he's a dick, but he still, throughout it, is extremely charming.
Yeah, oh yeah, he has very high charisma.
Yeah, and...
Very high charisma.
Very high charisma. Like, he'd be rolling them persuasion checks all day. Of course, again, the power helps.
Absolutely.
But I do like, and again, I think this is just based in the Alias comics, the fact that she eventually becomes immune to his abilities.
Well, yeah, in the show.
No, that's what, I don't know if that was from the comic or just in the show or whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in the comic as well, but I'm not 100% positive on that. But either way, like, I enjoy that little, like, hook. It's that, like, oh, that's the one person, for whatever reason, he can't do that to.
Right, yeah.
And, it, then obviously, like, they're nemesis, like, just, I mean, she already hated him, he hates her now because she can disobey him.
Yeah.
Match made in hell.
Yeah. And, well, I was kind of surprised that they killed him off at the end of the season. But, I mean, that's all right. I'm excited to see what they do next season. And who knows, maybe they didn't quite kill him off somehow.
Maybe. We don't know what all that last injection... Although, if he's got regenerative powers... Careful with your footing there, Marvel, because as soon as you give him that, you can't, necessarily take that back. And definitely not for that universe. And, that might affect the way that anything else gets written from here on out, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, that once... No matter where you introduce the power, if the power gets introduced, it winds up getting used elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, that's very... And especially for somebody like Kilgrave, that's really dangerous water to walk on. Kilgrave with regenerative powers.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's going to be kind of interesting to see what they wind up doing with that. Now, there is this thing where there's this storyline about the children of Kilgrave where somehow, his disease gets passed on to, I think it is literally kids of, where, his powers basically, the disease making quality or whatever gets passed on to other people, or I think they're kids at first.
Yeah.
And it's literally this whole little army of people who can do this.
That sucks. I really hope they don't do that. That just sounds...
Well,
I mean, it's probably going to be good, but it's, aggravating just to think about.
I mean, it does kind of sound pretty lame, but I think that could be done right.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that could be done okay. But yeah,
all in all, really good show.
Really fucking phenomenal show.
I don't know what else there is to say about it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched it already, go check it out, man. It's really top notch. It's an amazing storyline, incredibly witty dialogue, and just it makes you excited for more things to come in this universe. And that's what I'm loving, is that this Netflix universe that exists alongside the cinematic universe is really exciting and compelling, and kind of got this darker tone, but still has that Marvel fun.
Oh yeah.
Definitely
Absolutely.
still has that Marvel sensibility. That's the thing about this. It's not a typical superhero show, but you can still tell that it's a Marvel show.
Absolutely.
It's still such a Marvel show, and the fact that it's hybrided between that and a noir as well as it is just it's really great.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're actually going to be coming at you now, I think, weekly with these things.
Woo!
We're going to be putting these things out weekly now if we can. So next week, we're going to be talking about Batman versus Superman. Yay! So, check that out. We hope you enjoyed tonight, and you all be good. Peace out.